Welcome back to our Principles of the Martial Arts series. Haven't filmed one of these in a while, so I want to get back to doing them. Obviously, at some point, as if I discover more principles, I'll add to it, but at some point, we'll get to kind of a point where we just have to work on them. All right. A couple of things I wanted to mention ahead of time. I think some people sometimes when they watch these videos and they hear me refer to things as a rule or a principle, and they're like, okay, well, I have to always do it exactly this way. So these rules are designed, principles are designed to assist you in your training, to move physically at a high level. Okay, for instance, the rod principle, where everything's supposed to move around the rod's not supposed to bend, it's not supposed to bend, it's not supposed to bend. Okay, however, if you're in combat and someone throws a punch at your head and you duck out of the way and the rod bends, that's okay. You're allowed to break the rule in that situation. So again, ideally, we want to follow the rules. Once you're moving at a high level and you understand the rules, then obviously there is allowances for you to break some of the rules. Okay? So this one we're going to talk about today is kind of like that. So we're going to talk about the responsibilities of the hands. All right. So the responsibility of the hands is my right hand is only responsible for this side of my body. My left hand is responsible for this side of my body. And there's some other rules with the hands. One is the hands won't go above the eyebrows. The other one is the hand doesn't go below the knee. All right. So again, we are going to see exceptions to all of these rules. We're going to see them within our forms, whether it be Chen style Tai Chi Chuan practical method, whether it be Isshin-Ryu karate, feeding crane kung fu, jiu-jitsu. We're going to see exceptions, as you will see exceptions for all of the rules. You know, the famous quote, rules were made to be broken. However, if we don't follow the rules and get to a certain level of physical ability and we're always breaking them, you're not going to get there. I can tell you now, you're not going to get to high level physical movement. So you have to follow the rules as much as possible. And yeah, on occasion, you're going to break them. Okay, so what do we mean by the hand responsible for this side, left hand responsible for this side? Okay, so we see a kata like Seiyuchin and Isshin-Ryu where people love to cross like this. But when we watch the Goju-Ryu people, they do this. And to be honest, I teach this to my white belts, but when I'm teaching my black belts, I teach them not to cross the hands, that they come up the center line and do this. All right, so again, one example. We're coming in with Seisan with this technique here. The hands literally pass on the center line. Okay, so I don't want to be doing this where they're coming all the way here. All right, we're here on the center line. So little things like that. Okay, again, for whether it's Tai Chi, all right. So if I'm doing Tai Chi and I'm doing circles, the hands again not crossing the center line. Even when I'm doing high levels of six sealing four closing, of the hands not crossing, not coming over here. All right. Always, whatever moves we're doing in the Chen style, all right, we try to maintain this hand is here, this hand is here. Again, are there exceptions? Yeah, at one point in one move, we come over here, we touch the arm, and we pull back. Okay? So there are going to be exceptions to this rule, even within the forms we do. Some other examples, okay? Wansu kata. Wansu kata, we do this. Where's this hand? Right? Sun Tzu kata, we do this. Where's this hand? It's on the opposite side. So you're going to see some exceptions again, like we say to those rules. Even in Chen style, we punch, right? And we come here, this hand comes here. but if you look, you see it's actually on the center. It hasn't crossed over. All right. So little things like that. But here's where we get into a problem when we don't follow this rule. Okay. So let's use the opening move of Seisan as an example, and then we'll pull a few more moves from the Isshin-Ryu kata, all right, and we'll go from there. So Seisan, the opening move, most people come out. Some people, when they teach beginners, do this, which I do that with the kids and stuff. That's fine, okay? But again, bringing this hand here, you're crossing the center line, and then bringing it back to do your blocking position. Okay, so the problem is, one of the things in combat is that'll never work, all right? So if you're being taught that if someone throws a straight punch, you bring your arm to here and then bring it back, that will never work. You will 100% get hit in combat. And if you don't believe me, go down to the dojo tonight, go in your garage with your training partner, tell him to punch you in the chest as hard as he can, and you bring your hand here and come back to block. It's just not going to happen, all right? Even the founder of Isshin-Ryu, if you watch his videos, when he does the opening of Seisan, he comes up like this. Why? Because as the punch is coming in, this arm just comes up to deflect it, and this arm is firing at the same time, okay? So that's one example, opening a Seisan. Sun Tzu, we see the same thing. The hands come up, okay? Same thing, opening of Chen style, the Yilu, our arms come up. They don't come off. They don't come off and go across to the other lines. They're both here. They're on the center. Then when we turn here, same thing. If I shift my body, you see this hand didn't come across to the other side of my body. So even when I do this move, there's no where this comes across. And you'll see this throughout the Yilu form where it looks like your hand is coming over, but it really doesn't. So let's take another form, Nahanshi. Okay, I see this constantly in Nahanshi, right? So we'll take it from here, up, and we're here. I see this constantly. They do this, so now they've crossed into the other sector, right? They do this, and then they do that, right? But when you do this move, this stays here. This is here, and now the whole body rotates. So I don't bring it here to wind up and then come back. Remember, this action, this rule, this principle coincides with the we don't load up. There's no load. I don't load and then punch. I don't load and then use this forearm. Again, I don't think of this as a block. I think of it as a strike. So if I'm doing this and then coming here, that's violation of two principles, crossing the center line and also loading, right? Here and then from here. And you see the power and the speed when you learn to turn the waist comes here. Now, same thing here. I come here. The next move, everybody does this and does a cross like this. No, it's here. And then the body rotates. So now if I turn myself, you'll see my arm never crossed my center line. Okay? So, again, if I'm practicing the Hanshi, I don't stack my hand here. I come from here and my hands come right and go right in. All right? So, something you want to check. Again, you want this hand responsible for here, this hand responsible for here. You don't want the hands going below the knee. If they go below the knee, it means you're doing things like this. Okay? If they're going above your head, that's another thing. Although, like I said, above the head, we have exceptions. Head block, right? Okay. In Chen style, we have the golden rooster, all right? Again, to me, some might argue, oh, no, your hand's not above your eyebrows. I don't know. It looks like my hand's above my eyebrows, okay? So again, with the rules, with the principles, understand we want to follow them as much as we can, And then also understand, and this is where the big problem comes in martial arts in general, is the contradictions. If you can't accept that there's going to be contradictions in your martial arts training, you're going to lose your mind. All right? So one of the sayings on Okinawa is, okay, Two-way okay. Two-way okay. Well, sensei, can I do it like this? Yeah, it's okay. Well, sensei, what about this? I see you're doing it like this. Oh, yeah, you can do it like that too. So I can do it both ways? Yeah. Westerners especially, we like this idea of this is the only way we do it. No, no, you do it exactly like this. Well, I can tell you now for closing in on 50 years of training, yeah, that's just not the case. All right. My Tai Chi master, Chen Zhonghua, he's literally at workshops in the morning, had us work on something a certain way. We take the break for lunch, we come back, and he says, okay, now I want you to do this like this. And of course, someone raises their hand and goes, well, Shifu, you showed us this morning to do it like this. Now you're telling us to do it different. And he goes, yes, that was this morning. Now this is this afternoon, right? So again, that's one of the things you want to understand. So recently, I had someone make black belt under me, and I went back to Seisan and started working on some things with Seisan. And his response was, wow, this is more physical and this is more difficult. And I said, yeah. So same thing. Recently, I had a black belt here from Isshin-Ryu, a longtime black belt, came to train with us for the day. I asked him if he'd mind doing Seisan. He did. And I said to him, I'm going to say to you what Master Shimabukuro said to me back in 1990, which is, why are you doing Seisan like a white belt? Got to here, stacked his hands, turned, do this, right? And I showed him how not to stack the hands, how right from here, just go right into the move, right? And again, these are all reference points for when you're training a white belt, someone who's never done karate before, they're just starting out. You got to keep everything very, very basic and clear. And I do that with all the arts I teach. When people first start, when they first start the Yilu and Chen Tai Chi, I literally go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. Very basic by the numbers. Same with Isshin-Ryu, feeding crane, jiu-jitsu, Mariyoshi. It doesn't matter. I keep everything by the numbers. Then as the person begins to understand and move better, I start layering in principles. And in case of like Mariyoshi Kobudo and Isshin-Ryu Karate, after Shodan, I really start taking a deep dive into things. And that's when guys begin to realize, wow, there's a lot more to these martial arts than I thought. All right? So play around with this principle. Try it. It's a very, very good principle. All right? And they all are excellent principles. But understand that as with all rules, you have to break them sometime. Okay? You just do. All right? So hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Take care.